I welcome you to your political science class. As in the previous chapters, I have already discussed about what is government, types of government, levels of governments, why do we need government, and what is the importance of government. In chapter 4, I am going to explain the key elements of a democratic government. Dear students, I hope now you are pretty familiar and comfortable with the syllabus of your social studies book, grade 6. Dear students, I request you to read this story and get clear with your concepts. Let me brief you about this story. Let us understand what is there in this chapter. South Africa is a country that has people of several races. Now here in this chapter we are going to talk about racism. It is basically discriminating people on the basis of color. So South Africa is a country where many people of several races were living. There are black people who belong to South Africa. So basically there were the black people who were belonging to South Africa only, white who came there to settle. Whereas white people, like now on what criteria they are calling as black, white, on the basis of their color or the skin tone. So the white people came to South Africa and settled there for the work, occupation and job. Indians who came as laborers and traders. So like in South Africa, Indians also went there. And Indians are called as browns. So we have got three different skin tones labeled as black, white, and Indians are called as brown. Now what they are saying, South Africa is a country where the people of different races were living there. Okay. Now let us read this. Maya Naidoo, an 11-year-old South African girl living in the town of Johannesburg, was helping her mother cleaning up her old boxes. She found a scrapbook full of pictures and newspaper articles. There were many pictures of young schoolboy of around 15 years of age. When she asked her mother who the boy was, she was told that he was called Hector Peterson. Now there is a young girl of 11 years old age living in South Africa. Her name is Maya Naidoo. Now what she was doing, she was helping her mother in cleaning the house. While cleaning the house, she got some scrapbook. And in that scrapbook, what she found? That there was a photograph of a boy. And repetitively she could see this photograph of this particular boy. So with curiosity, Maya Naidoo asked this question to her mother, that who is this boy? Mother answered that this boy is Hector Peterson. Now let us understand who is this guy. He had been shot by the police. Maya was shocked. Why? She asked. After listening this thing, a 15-year boy who was shot down by the police, everyone would have been very curious to know what could have been the reason. So, same way, the Maya was also surprised. She got very curious to know, Mom, what basically happened? The mother was telling the reason why this young boy was shot down. She says that South Africa was earlier governed by apartheid law. Now let us understand what this apartheid is. Apartheid means separation on the basis of race. As I have already explained you what is race. Race is separating people on the basis of their color. So this young boy, Hector Peterson, was being shot down. As in South Africa, earlier the government was following a law which was called as apartheid. Kindly underline in your book, apartheid means separation on the basis of race. South African people were divided into white, black, Indian and colored races. Now what basically this line is saying, that people who were living in South Africa were being divided based on their colors. According to the law, now this is very, very important, kindly underline in your book. According to the law, these races were not allowed to mingle with each other, to live near each other, or even to use common facilities. Now, this is a law which was being run in South Africa by the government, which was called as apartheid, which basically says that the people are going to be separated on the basis of their color, and these people are not at all allowed to mingle. What basically this mingle means? They can't live in same society, they can't use common facilities like same hospitals, same transportation, they cannot visit to the same school or organization, and they cannot party together, they cannot be together. So according to apartheid, the people were not allowed to mingle, to be together, to use the common facilities. Now what happened? Maya could not believe her ears. Maya's mother sounded angry when she spoke about life under apartheid. She told Maya that in those days, hospitals were separate and so were ambulances. That means the public facilities was different. That means a white person who is using a particular ambulance will not, or that facility cannot be availed by the black people or the brown people, that is Indian. An ambulance meant for white people would always be well equipped. Whereas if I talk about the ambulance which were being used by the whites, they were well equipped. And the black people who were using the ambulances, they might not be well equipped, they must not be in a very good condition. There were separate trains and buses. That means the black people, white people and the brown people, the Indian, they were using separate facilities. That means white people were so privileged. They were getting, well equipped ambulances, good facilities, whereas the black people were being deprived of. Even the bus stops were different for black and white people. Now, let's just imagine, like in the previous chapter, we talked about discrimination. So when other people are not being used the facility which white people were being using, that means this is a clear discrimination. That means even the bus stop was not same for white and black. Non-whites were not allowed to vote. Just imagine, like according to the universal adult franchise, every individual who is above 18 is allowed to give the vote, right? So non-whites were not allowed. So here, this does not implement. If you are black, you can't vote, you can't choose your government. The best land in the country was reserved for white people, and non-white had to live on the worst available lands. Now, the posh colony, the elite colony was being given to the white people. The very good land, the very good locality was being given to the white people, whereas the black people were living in maybe in the outskirts or out of the town, maybe the suburban area they must be living. One black township was the southwestern township, Soweto. So there was a black township which was being called Soweto. Hector Peterson lived here, and he and his classmates joined the protest against the learning the Afrikaans language in school. Now this was a young boy who used to live in this locality where the South African black people used to live. This young boy he joined the protest with the classmates. This protest was basically about that they did not want to learn language African which was being spoken by the whites. They want to speak their own language, which was Zulu. Hector and other school students were being forced to learn this language, but they wanted to learn their own language, as I have already discussed. Now, to control the protest, what happened? The police started open firing. Open shoot was there. People were killed. And in this incident, this young little boy, Peter, was shot down. It was the incident of 16th June 1976. Now, this created a lot of terror. There was a leader called Nelson Mandela, who was South African. He was the leader. He took the stand. and he decided that he is going to fight for a fair government where the people of all the races could live there. So it was Nelson Mandela, kindly underline, for the apartheid system for several years. So this incident happened in the year 1976, and in 1994 South Africa became a democratic country.